coming up in this Gran Turismo 7 video, we're going to go ahead and tackle the brand new events to the game with update 1.61. Of course, up first we'll be heading over to Alsace test course featuring the horrific Nissan Qashqai. For the second event, we head over to the Nordschleife for some K-car action in the rain. And for the final event, we head over to Fuji Speedway and throw around the brand new Nismo. But before we get into the video, I'm trying to get this channel to 60,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and we are almost there. So if you want to stay up to date with everything Gran Turismo and motorsport gaming related, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe and turn your notifications on. Anyway, let's get to it. So the first of 3 new events with update 1.61 is the Japanese FF Challenge 450, and it takes place at a track that really doesn't get enough love, Alsace test course. Now this is almost the perfect kind of track for these type of vehicles. It's a 5-lap sprint race with a total of 10 cars. You must use a road car from Japan, and it must be FF drivetrain of course. Now first place is 45k, second is 27k, and third is 18k. Your main rival cars are going to be a bunch of different front wheel drive Japanese cars, anything from the likes of the Mazda CX-30 to Civic and Integra Type Rs. BOP is off, car use must be at garage cars, and car settings are allowed. There's no damage and no shortcut penalties. So here we are with the first race then, 5 laps up ahead of us on this relatively small track, so it's not going to take too long whatsoever, using of course the brand new Nissan Qashqai, which this event is really aimed at promoting. Now in terms of the Nissan Qashqai, I feel very justified in saying this thing is absolutely awful, it sounds horrible and it doesn't drive very well either. Of course this is very much a hybrid type of vehicle. I believe the e-power is some sort of fuel system mixed with electric, and it really does show. This thing is incredibly heavy, incredibly slow, and really just isn't going to be of much use apart from this really one single event. Now one thing I will admit though, it was quite nice to be able to jump into the Qashqai, not have to waste any more credits on upgrading it, and being able to actually take victory on the hardest difficulty without any real issues. So the car will work from standard, which is quite a nice touch I guess. Now as for the event itself though, there are a few vehicles that you're probably going to have to watch out for. Now the main ones are the Civic and Integra Type Rs and the Mazda CX-30. Those, I guess, selection of vehicles there are going to be miles ahead of anything else that this event will typically field. So just keep on your toes around them and try and really push them, and again, you should be able to take a relatively easy victory as long as you're really getting the most out of the car you're using. Now of course the next thing is the fact that we're at a track with an incredibly steep decline on the hill. It really is ridiculous, and especially if you're using the cars with, you know, slower overall speeds and typically higher ride height like the Nissan here, then you're probably going to find that the car will move around a lot and become very unstable. So just keep on your toes there as well. But apart from that, this should be a very relatively easy event for most players. As you can see, I took a victory by just over a second there after around about 5 minutes or so, and a total of 5 laps completed. As for the payout, it's not too bad either. It's 67,500 credits and 6.6 miles travelled. Now definitely the standout event of this update is the lightweight K-Cup, which returns this time at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and you probably guess what that means: variable weather, and it is on offer here. So it's just a 1-lap sprint, but honestly when you're in cars this slow it doesn't matter too much. A 16 car grid, comfort softs, K-car and a 400 pp limit. First place is rather decent, 100,000 credits, second is 60k, and third is 40k. Now your main rival cars are of course a bunch of different K cars, the likes of the Honda B, S660 and Cappuccino. BOP is off, you must use a garage car, and car settings are allowed. There's no damage and no penalties. So here we are at the Nordschleife with the Honda N1 RS. Of course this car is what the event is aimed at, and we're going to be using that absolutely incredible wide body kit, a really unique style for this car, and it's great to see it, you know, get a proper treatment by Polyphony. Now as for the event itself, it is a varying weather one, so just be warned that there is a very high chance, almost certain, that rain will come every single time you race this. Now you are on the Comfort Soft compound of tyres, so that is a road compound, so it's not going to be too bad overall, but it will affect handling. Now because you're not worrying about tyre and fuel and all that good stuff, I just fully recommend keeping your eye on the weather radar and just be prepared for an absolute downfall, of course whilst making your way through the grid. Now the great things about these tiny little Japanese cars is that side-by-side racing is very much possible, even at somewhere as close and tight as the Nordschleife. So it does make for a very, very enjoyable time while you've got the absolute downpour going off and you're trying to, work your way through this incredibly tricky track while still being able to race side by side. Honestly, this was genuinely one of the better events that we've seen all year. Again, it is a shame that it isn't very long, but in terms of absolute thrill factor, throwing around these tiny Japanese cars, racing side by side, and the varying weather actually made for a very enjoyable time. Now, of course, if you don't want to go for the Honda N1, then there is a bunch of different cars you can now use, including the Suzuki Carry. So all of them will get the job done, and you'll probably find yourself being able to get this one done with relative ease. Just be aware that straight line speed is definitely something you're going to need in that final portion of the track. Anyway, I took first place relatively easily in the end and got paid 150,000 credits, so not too bad. And of course, then we move in to the third and final event. Race of Turbo Sports Cars returns once again with a 5-lap sprint, this time of course at Fuji Speedway. Now this is mainly aimed at the Nissan Z-Tune. In terms of the event itself, 5 laps, 16 cars total, a 700 pp or less restriction, and of course it must be turbocharged. As for first place, a little bit lower this time, 90,000 credits, 54k and 36k. Main rival cars are a bunch of different turbocharged vehicles, anywhere from Nissan Skylines all the way up to the likes of Lancers and Porsches. In terms of car restrictions, BOP is off, you must use a garage car, and car settings are allowed. There's no damage once again, and no penalties either. So here we go then with the third and final event. There's a total of 15 cars up in front of us over a 5-lap sprint of Fuji Speedway, and of course we're using the Z-Tune. Honestly, when it comes to 700 pp cars, this just may end up being one of the most overpowered we've ever had. It is absolutely easy and ridiculous to build this up to a very high 700 pp standard and absolutely wipe the floor with the rest of the field. Just a quick hint here, when it comes to overpowered 700 pp cars, it's certainly going to be one to watch. Now, as for the event itself, again, like I mentioned, it was almost like having the game in very, very easy mode. That doesn't mean that all of the cars are built to a proper 700 pp standard. Of course they're not. There is some that are very, very slow and others that are much more capable. The main ones that are very capable cars are the R34 GTRs and the Ford Escort RS Cosworth. Now, definitely all three of those type of vehicles can give you a good run for your money. They definitely seem to be tuned a step above anything else, but when it comes to using vehicles, something like the Nismo here, built to even an under 700 pp spec, is just going to wipe the floor with it. For me, when it comes to the likes of Race of Turbo Sports Cars, it is so easy to exploit that 700 pp limit that it just becomes incredibly boring very, very fast. And it's like that with a lot of cars. So really, I don't think anybody's going to have too much trouble here actually getting a decent enough 700 pp build to not be able to win this one. So the event that should have really acted as the highlight for this update was actually probably the weakest overall in terms of the fun factor, but maybe I'm wrong there. Let me know in the comment section. Anyway, there we go. That is a look at the brand new events that have come with GT7's update 1.61. I just want to take a quick minute just to apologize that this video is probably going to be a little bit later out and such, and honestly the videos are just all over the place at the minute. I've just been so busy in my personal life that it's kind of put a hold to everything once again, but thankfully I have the time now to be able to pump these videos out and actually knuckle down and enjoy doing YouTube again. So a massive thank you to all of you, huge thank you to all of my channel members listed on screen now, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, peace.